And after all the affair allegations, their chemistry is too good to be just on screen, literal breakups, this is what we get? This?
No, ma'am.
There's no romance. What's the point? Just kidding. Maybe.
Darling,
Yo, it's Anne, aka Antagonist. Welcome back to my channel. So recently I watched Anyone But You because one thing about me is I love me a rom-com. I talk about them all the time. I'm a loud and proud endorser of the rom-com renaissance. This entire channel is inspired by the genre, so of course I was going to be seated in theaters. Yes, ma'am. And if you have no idea what this movie is or what I'm talking about, you know, like a few months ago when there was all that drama with Glenn Powell and Sydney Sweeney, rumors started swirling around that Glenn and Sydney may be more than co-stars. And then Glenn and his girlfriend broke up and she started liking ominous tweets that kind of suggested the same. And then the press tour was released, which only further fueled the more than co-star allegations. And then people started questioning if Sydney Sweeney's fiance even existed anymore. Yeah, well, this is the actual movie behind all that drama. Anyone But You is a new romantic comedy starring Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell, and it was directed and co-written by Will Gluck, who also directed Easy A and Friends with Benefits. This film is actually a modern retelling of a famous Shakespeare play. It's kind of an ode to all the Shakespeare modern retelling rom-coms of the late 90s and early 2000s, like 10 Things I Hate About You, which was based off Taming of the Shrew, She's the Man, based off Twelfth Night, and Deliver Us from Eva, which is also based on Taming of the Shrew. But this time, Shakespeare's Much Ado About Nothing served as the source material. And if you've been here on my channel before, then you already know Much Ado About Nothing is often regarded as one of the first rom-coms ever, and one of the founding fathers of the enemies to lovers trope that we know today. All this to say, with this film being a rom-com, with the source material, and a director of two films I really enjoy, this should have worked. Should have been in the bag. But when I got out of my theater seat and my friend turned to me and said, "Did you like the movie?" the glaring answer was no. And instead of spending 10 minutes just spewing haterade, I decided to be more constructive with my approach because on this channel, we like introspection. So I'm not just going to go on and on about how this film didn't work. I'm going to address why it didn't work. 1. The narrative. So the premise of the film Anyone But You is Bea and Ben spend a magical night together, but their initial attraction quickly turns into animosity. Unfortunately for them, Bea's sister ends up being engaged to one of Ben's childhood best friends, so the pair finds themselves at a destination wedding in Australia, where they agree that it's to their mutual benefit to fake date and pretend to be a couple. So pretty basic and cliche rom-com plot, which I have no issues with. Cliches and tropes, especially in rom-coms, work for a reason and they should be used. It's how and what you do with them that matters. The movie actually opens up with Bea and Ben's meet cute, and I really, really liked it. I was charmed, dare I say. It felt fresh, natural, and they were able to add some good comedic elements too. Honestly, if the movie stopped there, it would have got a 10 out of 10 from me. But it continues. Bea and Ben hit it off so well that they end up spending the night together. So you may be asking, how do they come to hate each other? A misunderstanding, of course. It is simple and rather shallow, but it does offer a lot of space to have fun and make way for a lot of situational comedy. And simple cliche plots are completely fine in a romantic comedy, so long as you have one important element down, which is 2. The characters. I just have to say it now. This is one half of the reason of the film's downfall. The 2 lead characters as a whole lacked motive, direction, and honestly, personality. Like, if you held a gun to my head right now, I would not be able to tell you what either of these characters want out of life. Bea is a law student who doesn't want to be a lawyer, and she doesn't become a lawyer. And that's where her depth ends. She doesn't have interest or hobbies or friends, honestly. She just felt like such an empty and blah character, and we're constantly told things about her characterization rather than being shown. We're told that she's super smart, We're told that she's messy, we're told that she's stubborn, but we don't really see any of that. And a lot of her problems felt unrealistic and insignificant, and her stakes as a main character were underwhelming and almost cartoonish. I'm not the kind of person who needs to relate to all the characters that I watch, but when it comes to rom-coms, they're set in contemporary life, so you're supposed to relate to these characters in some way, but she didn't even have problems you could relate to, worries, fears, just nothing. Ben's character was also not given much, but I enjoyed his character a lot more. I think a few things that helped him out as a character was one, he was given a backstory with the deceased parent, and even though that is quite overused, it is effective in making us feel for a character. Second thing, he was surrounded by friends, which helped because the moments where he was bickering with B were juxtaposed by him being affectionate and soft with his friends. They also allowed him as a character to be the butt of a lot of jokes, which made him feel more fleshed out and well-rounded because you could see that he had many flaws. And the film wasn't afraid to point those out, especially for a leading man in a rom-com. There's another big reason why I liked his character a lot more, but we'll get to that. Still, that missing through line of character motivation in both leads for the most part was glaring throughout the film, and it made all the callbacks feel hollow. And callbacks are so important for romance and comedy. That's why rom-coms are full of them. The closest thing to a meaningful callback was Ben's Serenity song, which I liked because it was directly linked to his character and was consistent throughout the film. There was another callback that they tried to do with B, that she likes people watching, but that callback failed epically because there were no instances where they showed B practicing that in her life until she flippantly mentions it halfway through the movie. Why not show that B never wears headphones when she's out in public because she likes to hear people's conversation and watch what they're doing? Or have her play that game where you watch people and try to guess what they're talking about with Ben. That would have been an easy way to show that aspect of her character rather than telling us. Give me the writer's pen. Give it to me. Give it to me. And the ultimate kiss of death for this film was that I was not rooting for the couple. Not even a little bit. All they did was bicker. They seemed to have nothing in common. And they didn't even look like they had fun together. Like, come on. 3, performances. Now we've reached the most glaring reason why this film didn't work. Sure, there was an underwhelming plot, shallow characters, but I like movies that do all that. So there must be another bigger reason why this film didn't work. It's Sydney Sweeney. It didn't work. It's Sydney. I'm so sorry. I think I'm now in the camp of people who have declared that when it comes to comedic acting, it may not be Miss Sweeney's strong suit. She felt lost to me in this film. I just didn't feel enough charm from her. Like, sure, there were some good comedic sequences and screwball moments that she was able to sell, namely that scene where she's trying to get Ben's cookie, but it's kind of the same way that I would feel if I saw her in an SNL skit. Like, that's cute. That's not the feeling I want from my rom-com lead. And after all the affair allegations, their chemistry is too good to be just on screen, literal breakups, this is what we get? This? And unfortunately, Sydney Sweeney just has to be the scapegoat because I like Glenn Powell. I've seen him in Set It Up. It's one of my favorite movies, and he does really good in it. He does really good in this film as well with what he's given. You just have so much fun watching Glenn Powell in rom-coms, and I think part of it is because you can tell he's having so much fun doing these films. Sydney, on the other hand, just gave me...
And I said, who's cutting the check?
Now, I'm not here to presume how she felt about this project. She was an executive producer, so I'm not trying to downplay her passion. It's just that passion that she may have had didn't come off on screen. A lot of her line delivery fell really flat, and I didn't feel like she brought enough heart to the character. I think I wanted her character to lean more into the mess that is a rom-com lead. Like, usually when you're a rom-com lead actress, you are down in the dumps. Things are not working out for you. We need mess. And I don't think we really got that from her. We definitely got it from Ben. Ben is a certified mess, and that's what makes him such an interesting character. But Sydney's character, B, was just kind of there, from both the writing standpoint and the performance. I would argue that even though Glenn Powell was given less, he was able to bring more to the character, and I felt like I knew his character more, and it was brought more to life. His bits about being a weird tech bro were funny, and Glenn just brings this weird, springy, kooky, fun energy to a rom-com that I can't even put into words properly. Like, I want more rom-coms from him. He is a star. He's on my list of white male leads. I said what I said. Hollywood needs to understand that above all, rom-coms are character-driven stories, and chemistry is crucial above all else to make any romance work. Good chemistry between leads will make me forgive almost anything. Let's be for real. I did not feel the chemistry between Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell. I just think when the success of your film is so contingent on character chemistry, you need to prioritize that over having a big name. We get it, Hollywood is a risk-averse industry, but nobody's asking you to drop $100 million on these films. And I also think that rom-coms are a beautiful place for characters to launch their careers and to discover new people, like Lana Condor and Noah Centimillion, Glenn Powell and Zoe Deutsch. Give me pairings I would never think of and blow my mind. Take a chance on a lesser-known actor who could actually kill the role, because this ain't it. I do want to end on a more positive note because this film isn't horrible by any means, and it does have some good qualities. For one, everyone looked great.
Okay, great gowns, beautiful gowns.
Anyone But You was filmed on location in Australia, and it showed. Definitely paid off. I absolutely love the use of color throughout the film as well. It was so bright and lively. Again, the people were beautiful. Like Alexandra Shipp, so beautiful. She demands attention, demands your eyeballs to be on her when she walks into the room. It just gorgeous. I also have to shout out the many Much Ado About Nothing Easter eggs that were peppered throughout the movie. I felt that was really, really well done. I love seeing the Shakespeare quotes. I know there are plenty of Easter eggs that I must have missed, but I caught on to a lot of them, and that was really fun. I will also say this movie does have a lot of laugh out loud moments. A lot of that credit goes to Glenn's performance. He just has a style of panicked comedy that works so well. Like, he's able to play the straight man in a comedy bit while also doing quirky, unhinged comedy all at the same time. It just works. If you take anything from this, it's you should watch Set It Up. 10 out of 10 would recommend. That's the end of my review. If you watched the film, I'd love to know what your thoughts. Did you like it? Did you not? You can disagree with me, of course. Feel free to let me know in the comments. Just be respectful. And if you like this video, please consider subscribing. We talk more about romance here. I have a lot of content covering different romance tropes, and I'd love it if you stay here a while and have some fun with us. And also, it's for your benefit, because when you press subscribe, you become, what? 99% hotter. Ask the other 4K. They know. They know. All right. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.
Send me, darling.